Coming up on today's show, Ford closes pre-reservations for its F-150 Lightning pickup truck as it hits 200,000 hand raisers and prepares to turn those pre-orders into confirmed orders. The Renault ZOE's decade-old design starts to show its age as it gets 0 stars in EuroNCAP testing, and Porsche reveals a new Grand Tourer concept that you'll be able to drive virtually. These stories and more coming next. This is Ecotricity's EcoTEC Roundup show from New Zealand's only carbon zero certified renewable electricity company. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to electric vehicles in New Zealand. Switch today at ecotricity.co.nz. Welcome back to another roundup in the world of clean cars and green energy. It has been a busy week, so let's get on with it. Ever since the Ford F-150 Lightning was unveiled this spring, we've watched as the number of pre-reservation holders has grown. And disclaimer, as one of those pre-reservation holders, I'm eager to get my pre-reservation converted to an actual order. This week, Ford confirmed that it has hit 200,000 pre-reservations, and with production capacity about one half of what it needs to build that many vehicles in a timely fashion, has announced it's decided to close pre-reservations for now. This is terrible news for anyone who hasn't already put down a Benjamin to wait in line, but Ford says it's now making final preparations to begin converting those pre-reservations to actual orders. It will begin doing this in a staged way starting in January, with the first customers expecting to get their trucks sometime in spring. I'll be sharing my journey on the channel, so watch this space. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6 have now both received their official EPA range ratings, and since they are built on the same Hyundai Kia eGMP platform, have very similar capabilities. Last week on the show, we shared the Ioniq 5's ratings, but the Kia EV6, which shares the same drivetrain and battery pack as the Ioniq 5, has actually come out a little better on paper. The all-wheel drive long-range EV6 gets an official EPA range rating of 274 miles, 440 kilometers per charge of its 77 kilowatt-hour usable battery pack, while the rear-wheel drive long-range EV6 manages 310 miles, 499 kilometers, using the same amount of power. When it comes to efficiency, this means the Kia EV6 long-range rear-wheel drive is one of the most efficient crossover EVs you can buy, beaten only by the Hyundai Kona EV and the long-range Tesla Model Y. Oh, and our very own Kate Walton-Elliott has just got back from driving the Hyundai Ioniq 5 in California, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. In last week's show, I talked about some of the controversy that's been sparked when Stellantis' CEO Carlos Tavares warned about the challenges of transitioning the brand to electric, leading many in the industry to incorrectly claim that the automaker was ardently anti-EV. This week, during its annual software day, however, we were given some proof that that's most certainly not the case, with Stellantis showcasing a new concept called the Chrysler Airflow EV. It's an evolution of the Chrysler Airflow Vision study that was first unveiled back in January 2020, and according to the executives who were on stage with it, the vehicle will be built on one of the 4 stellar platforms unveiled earlier this year at the brand's EV Day. Stellantis says it will be deploying 3 new AI-powered technology platforms in 2024 across all of those 4 stellar EV platforms, and some hints are dropped that the 5-seat Airflow could be one of the first vehicles to use both. Watch this space. EuroNCAP, the European-wide safety testing organisation for the automotive industry, published a whole slew of new crash test results this week, with the majority of vehicles, both electric and non-electric, achieving a full 5 stars. But one car, specifically the Renault ZOE, was given a terrible rating by this safety organisation for its abysmal performance, scoring 0 out of a possible 5 stars. In fact, it's one of only 3 cars in history to ever perform so badly. The reason for this? Well, it's a little complicated, and partly down to the fact that while the Renault ZOE has received some tweaks in its near decade of production, those tweaks have actually negatively impacted rather than improved on its original 5-star EuroNCAP rating. And then there's the lack of advanced safety features in the car, which led to a safety assist score of just 14%. Add this to the fact that EuroNCAP tests are far more stringent today than they were in 2012, and it's easy to see why the car has failed to impress. Essentially, the Renault ZOE hasn't improved in line with the industry's safety expectations. Back in 2016, Tesla revealed the second generation of its Autopilot system, just 2 years after first exposing the world to the idea of Tesla Autopilot for the very first time. To showcase its capabilities, Tesla published a video in which a Tesla Model X is shown driving from a house to one of its offices, with no intervention from the driver. But now a New York Times expose cites 2 former Tesla employees who claim that in order for the vehicle to perform as requested on that day, a 3-dimensional digital map was first created, which the car then followed, something not mentioned in the video and something which wasn't a standard Autopilot feature at the time. It cites in its article 3 people who worked on the video as claiming at one point the vehicle hit a roadside barrier and had to be repaired before filming could continue. With no press team to contact to ask for a statement on the matter, we've no way to corroborate this story. But with Tesla currently being sued over its marketing of Autopilot and full self-driving beta, these allegations could sting. When we know more, we will of course share. Transport and Environment, a European NGO that spearheaded the push towards clean transportation, has just published a new report that it says debunks the notion that synthetic fuels are cleaner than fossil fuels. The organisation, which has previously called on European governments to cease all subsidies for plug-in hybrid vehicles, commissioned research from French organisation IFP Energies Nouvelles. The research shows that synthetic petroleum products, otherwise known as e-fuels, emit just as much NOx as petroleum products refined from fossil fuels. The fossil fuel industry has been pushing a lot of money into the research and development of e-fuels, which are made by storing energy from renewable sources in the chemical bonds of liquid or gas fuels such as butanol, biodiesel, methane and butane. Interestingly, while e-fuels are often promoted by big oil, none are available to buy, so the research lab had to make its own. And since NOx is more harmful than CO2 to the climate, this is not good. The BMW iX electric SUV got its official crash test rating from EuroNCAP this week, and unlike the Renault ZOE, scored a perfect 5 out of 5, getting an impressive 91% for adult occupancy, 87% for child occupancy, and 73% for vulnerable road users. The iX's onboard suite of advanced safety features also saw it manage an 81% score on Safety Assist, which, while not enough to put it right at the top of the charts, does put it 12th in this year's ratings. With the rating official, BMW wasted no time and began official iX deliveries in Germany, celebrating not only the first iX deliveries, but the 1 millionth electrified vehicle to be delivered by the brand. I should remind you, though, that while electrified can mean a vehicle with a plug, it also includes hybrid vehicles and mild hybrid vehicles, which does make the milestone less impressive. In the last few weeks, we've been watching as the Volkswagen board deliberated over the future of Dr. Herbert Diess at the company. For those who don't know, Diess was appointed to the position of CEO of the Volkswagen Group after Dieselgate, and has been largely responsible for the Volkswagen Group's transition to electric vehicles. For the last few months, there have been rumblings that he would be replaced because of his push for electric vehicles, but this week we got the news that following a supervisory group board meeting, Diess will stay at the company, albeit with reduced responsibilities. He will continue as overall Volkswagen Group CEO, with responsibility for the Volkswagen, Skoda and Seat brands, and he will gain responsibility for the automotive software division, Car IAD. However, he will lose his role as head of Volkswagen China. While he does lose some power within the company, frankly, it's far better than many of us feared it would be. I'm sure that anyone who's travelled long distances by electric car can talk about some of the truly awesome places where charging stations are located, but then also some of the far more terrible places that they are located, often with poor or no amenities attached. Back when I was still in the UK, I remember lots of terrible charging experiences, but in recent years, a company called Gridserve has changed that with its electric forecourt, charging sites with attached amenities just for EV drivers. Now, following the success of some of its first electric forecourts, the company has announced a major expansion to its network, with 11 new electric forecourts already under construction across the UK motorway, and new electric forecourts planned for Gatwick Airport and the city of Norwich, both of which are off the motorway network, because Gatwick Airport isn't directly on a motorway and the county of Norfolk, where Norwich is and where I'm from, hasn't got a single motorway. I've yet to experience the electric forecourt personally, but I'm very eager to give it a go. While Porsche is relatively new to the EV world, having only begun production of its first electric car, the Porsche Taycan, just 2 years ago, it's already earning a reputation for incredibly well-engineered and sorted electric sports cars. And this week we saw a new Porsche EV unveiled, the Porsche Vision Gran Turismo, a beautiful track-ready GT with an 87 kWh battery pack, a sprint time of around 2 seconds, and a top speed in excess of 350 km per hour, 217 miles per hour. It's truly stunning in its design, but sadly, while it will be getting a lot of drivers excited, it won't ever be owned. You see, the Porsche Vision Gran Turismo is the brand's first concept study designed specifically for use in a computer game, and it will be making its debut as part of the hotly anticipated Gran Turismo 7, which will launch on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 in March next year. I'm more of an iRacing gal, but honestly, I'll be buying Gran Turismo just to put this car through its paces. And keep your eyes peeled for winter's review of the Porsche Taycan GTS next week. And finally, the Aston Martin Lagonda is a car that frankly was far ahead of its time. A full-size luxury four-door sedan designed by William Towns, only 645 were actually made between 1974 and 1990. The Series 2, with pop-up lights and LCD clusters, touchscreen buttons and single-spoke steering wheel, are probably the most well-known, with the Series 3 adding CRT displays for the ultimate in mid-1980s high-tech. But because so few were made, very few are on the road today, and thus you might think of them as unlikely conversion candidates for an EV. But as the Furious Driving YouTube channel detailed this week, one surviving Series 3 Lagonda, which he jokingly calls the rustiest Aston Martin Lagonda in the world, is going all electric. Given the state of the car, purists shouldn't be too worried about the transformation, and we're going to be keeping a very close eye on what happens next. I just love seeing classic cars get a new lease of electric life. And on that note, we are done for the day. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next episode. And if you haven't already switched yet, why not switch to New Zealand's only carbon zero certified renewable electricity company? It's super easy to make the switch, and you'll be helping New Zealand wean itself off dirty energy and onto clean, green power that will keep the land beautiful for generations to come. I'll be back next week with more awesome content, but until then, enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Ka kite! See you next time.